The restaurant was everything I'd imagined for our anniversary. Candlelight reflected off wine glasses, soft music played in the background, and Aaron sat across from me looking handsome in the navy suit I'd bought him last Christmas. 7 years of marriage deserved celebration. I'd planned this dinner for weeks, made reservations at the impossible-to-book Italian place downtown Seattle. Then the door opened, and Vanessa walked in wearing my favorite dress. The emerald green one I'd left at the dry cleaners last month and never picked up because I'd been too busy managing the Harrison wedding. My breath caught. She looked around the restaurant like she owned it, spotted our table, and her face lit up. Aaron stood up from our anniversary dinner and smiled at her. She walked over, heels clicking on marble floor, and kissed his cheek. The entire restaurant seemed to pause. Conversations died mid-sentence. I sat frozen, wine glass halfway to my lips, watching my husband greet my former friend like this was normal. Like she belonged here. Lauren, Aaron said, voice carefully neutral. Vanessa had some urgent work documents. But Vanessa's smile said something else entirely. It said victory. My name is Lauren Pierce. Before I tell you how it all started, I have to ask you for a favor. Write in the comment where you're watching me from. Will love to see how far this voice travels, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. Your help is very important. What I'm about to share with you is something I never thought could happen to me at home. This is a story about trust betrayal and the kind of evil that hides behind a smile. Vanessa pulled up a chair without being invited, settling between Aaron and me like she was part of our celebration. She raised her wine glass, the one our server had brought automatically, assuming she was expected. To new beginnings, she announced, voice carrying across nearby tables. People turned, smiled, raised their own glasses in automatic politeness. They thought this was business. A professional toast at an unfortunate time. I knew better. I watched Aaron's face, studied the tension around his eyes, the way his smile didn't reach them. He looked trapped but also resigned, like he'd known this moment was coming. Vanessa's toast hung in the air. A few people clapped politely. Someone said congratulations. My hands gripped the napkin in my lap so hard my knuckles went white. Aaron met my eyes finally, and I saw something there. Guilt? Fear? Or just the uncomfortable awareness that everything was about to explode? Vanessa sipped her wine, looking between us with barely concealed satisfaction. She'd orchestrated this. Chosen this moment, this place, this exact scenario to make her point. The message was clear. She wasn't just inserting herself into Aaron's work life. She was claiming territory. My territory. And Aaron had let her walk right in. The drive home was silent except for the rain hitting the windshield. Seattle weather matched my mood, gray and cold. Aaron gripped the steering wheel, jaw tight, eyes fixed on the road. I stared out the passenger window, watching streetlights blur past. Finally, I couldn't stand it anymore. How long? I asked quietly. Aaron's hands tightened on the wheel. It's not what it looks like. I laughed, a sharp bitter sound. Then why did it look like everything? Why did it look like she knew exactly what dress to wear, exactly what time to show up, exactly how to humiliate me on our anniversary? He didn't answer immediately. We pulled into our driveway, the house we'd bought 3 years ago, the one we'd painted together and filled with furniture we'd chosen as a team. It looked like a stranger's house now. She's been helping with the Morrison project, Aaron said finally. It required late nights, extra planning. That's all. I unbuckled my seatbelt, turned to look at him directly. That's all? She showed up to our anniversary dinner in my dress, Aaron. My dress. His face went pale. What? But I could see the truth in his eyes. He'd known. Maybe not about the dress specifically, but about Vanessa's intentions. He'd known, and he'd let it happen anyway. I walked into our bedroom and went straight to the closet. Flipped on the light and stared. Half my clothes were gone. Not the everyday things, but the special pieces. The silk blouse I'd worn to Aaron's company gala last year. The black cocktail dress from our friend's wedding. The cashmere sweater his mother had given me. Empty hangers swayed slightly in the air conditioning. I stood there, trying to process what I was seeing. Aaron appeared in the doorway. I moved some things to make space. Space for what? My voice sounded strange, distant. For storage. You weren't wearing those items. But the closet smelled wrong. Perfume I didn't own, sweet and heavy, the kind Vanessa wore. I'd noticed it at company events, always too strong, always announcing her presence before she entered a room. That scent clung to the empty spaces where my clothes should have been. I touched one of the vacant hangers, and something inside me shifted. Not tears. Not anger yet. Just a cold, clear understanding that this wasn't happening by accident. This was planned. Systematic. Aaron stood behind me, probably waiting for an emotional outburst. I gave him nothing. Just turned off the closet light, walked past him to the bathroom, and locked the door. No tears. I wouldn't give either of them that satisfaction. Monday morning at work, I arrived early, hoping to avoid the usual office gossip. But my coworker Taylor was already at her desk, clutching her coffee cup and looking uncomfortable. "Lauren," she said quietly when I passed. "Can we talk?" We went to the empty conference room, and Taylor closed the door carefully. She wouldn't meet my eyes. I don't know how to say this. My stomach dropped. Just say it. She took a breath. Vanessa's been telling people she's moving into your house soon. She showed photos of the guest room, said Aaron's renovating it for her as a home office. The words hit like physical blows. Photos. Of my house. My guest room with the yellow walls I'd painted myself. When? I managed. Last week. She's been talking about it for days. Some people thought maybe you and Aaron were getting a roommate or something, but then she said Aaron Pierce is her future, not her temporary boss. Taylor finally looked at me, pity clear in her expression. I'm sorry. I should have told you sooner. I nodded, unable to speak. This wasn't just Aaron's betrayal anymore. This was public. Vanessa had humiliated me professionally and personally, and she'd done it while I'd been focused on work, on being a good wife, on maintaining everything I'd thought mattered. The room felt smaller suddenly. Too hot. I thanked Taylor and left before the tears could come. That night, I sat in bed alone. Aaron had texted saying he'd be late, another project deadline. I scrolled through Vanessa's social media, something I'd never done before. Her recent posts made my blood run cold. Photos of coffee cups on what looked like our kitchen counter. Sunset views from our living room window. A close-up of her hand wearing a bracelet I recognized as one Aaron had bought me for our anniversary 2 years ago. The one I'd thought I'd lost. Captions read like announcements. Finally getting what I deserve. Patience pays off. Some dreams are worth the wait. Comments flooded underneath. Friends congratulating her, asking about her new relationship, making assumptions. She'd built an entire narrative online, and I'd been too busy living my actual life to notice. My phone buzzed. A text from Aaron. We need to talk tomorrow. Not tonight. Not even a phone call. Just a text, cold and final, scheduling the end of my marriage like it was a business meeting. I set my phone down, stared at the ceiling, and made a decision. If they wanted me gone, they'd have to work harder than this. Because I wasn't disappearing quietly. Not anymore. Aaron came home the next morning while I was making coffee. He looked exhausted, shirt wrinkled, eyes red. I need space, he said without preamble. No good morning. No explanation. Just the words that would let Vanessa slide into my place permanently. I poured my coffee slowly, deliberately. How much space? I don't know. A few weeks? Maybe a month? He ran his hand through his hair. This isn't working, Lauren. We've been drifting apart. You're always at events, I'm always at the office. We barely see each other. It was a practiced speech. He'd rehearsed this. I wondered if Vanessa had helped him write it. So you want me to move out? It wasn't a question. I think it would be best. Give us both time to think. I nodded once. I'll be gone by tonight. The relief on his face was answer enough. He'd expected a fight. Tears. Begging. Instead, I finished my coffee, rinsed the cup, and walked upstairs to pack. By noon, I'd moved my remaining clothes, my laptop, and a few personal items into my car. Left the house keys on the kitchen counter with a note. Take all the space you need. Calm. Cold. Exactly what they wouldn't expect. I drove to a hotel downtown, checked in, and started planning. If Aaron thought this was over, he was about to learn otherwise. Monday at work was worse. I arrived to find Vanessa sitting at the desk next to mine, the one that had been empty for weeks. She smiled brightly when she saw me. Good morning, Lauren. Aaron thought it would be helpful if I worked closer to the events team. You know, for collaboration. Our manager, Patricia, looked apologetic but said nothing. Vanessa had somehow convinced upper management this was necessary. By lunchtime, I discovered Vanessa had taken over the Harrison account, my biggest client. The wedding I'd been planning for 8 months. Patricia thought I should take lead, Vanessa explained sweetly. You've seemed so distracted lately. Around us, coworkers whispered. I heard fragments. Replaced her at home and here. So awkward. How is she even functioning? I kept my head up, face neutral. Answered emails, made phone calls, acted like my world wasn't imploding publicly. At 3 o'clock, Vanessa's phone rang. She answered with, "Hey, babe." Then laughed at something Aaron said, loud enough for everyone to hear. I excused myself, walked calmly to the bathroom, and locked myself in a stall. Pressed my hands against the cold metal wall and breathed. I wouldn't break. Not here. Not where they could see. Not where Vanessa could claim victory. This was temporary. Just another challenge to overcome. I'd survived worse. I could survive this. After work, I sat in my car in the parking garage. Rain drummed on the roof. My hands gripped the steering wheel so hard they ached. The hotel room was waiting, empty and impersonal. I had nowhere to go, no one to call who wouldn't ask questions I couldn't answer yet. Aaron's betrayal hurt, but Vanessa's was worse somehow. We'd been friends once. 3 years ago, she'd been the new hire I'd mentored, trained, included in team lunches and after-work drinks. I'd introduced her to Aaron at a company party. Watched them chat about architecture and design. Thought nothing of it. When did it change? When did helping her become a mistake? You can't let them break you, I whispered to my empty car. You're stronger than this. But was I? Right now, sitting alone while they probably laughed together in my house, it didn't feel like strength. It felt like survival. Barely. My phone buzzed. A text from Taylor. You okay? Want to grab dinner? I considered it. Then declined politely. I needed to be alone. Needed to think clearly without sympathy or advice or well-meaning friends telling me to fight or move on. Tomorrow, I'd start planning. Tonight, I'd just let myself feel the weight of losing everything I'd built. The next morning, I called a divorce attorney. Her name was Helen Briggs, and her reviews praised her strategic thinking and courtroom presence. I needed both. Helen's office was downtown, all glass and steel. She was 50-something, gray hair in a severe bun, eyes that probably missed nothing. I sat across from her desk and explained everything. The anniversary dinner. The missing clothes. Vanessa's social media posts. Aaron's request for space. Helen took notes, asked pointed questions, showed no emotion. Finally, she set down her pen. He's playing nice now because he wants control of the assets. The house is in both names. Your retirement accounts are joint. He'll try to paint you as the unstable spouse who abandoned the marriage. I nodded. I'd suspected as much. But here's what they don't know, Helen continued. Washington is a no-fault community property state. Doesn't matter who left or why. Everything gets split 50-50 unless we prove misconduct. She leaned forward. Document everything. Texts, social media posts, any evidence of their relationship timeline. If they've been together longer than he claims, if he's hidden assets, if she's benefited financially from your marriage, we use that. I left Helen's office feeling something I hadn't felt in days. Not quite hope. But close. A sense of direction. A plan. Aaron thought he was steps ahead. He wasn't. That afternoon, I did something I'd never done before. I logged into my work email and searched for messages I'd deleted weeks ago. Routine office correspondence I'd cleared to make space. But companies keep backups. IT departments save everything. I knew this because I'd helped onboard new employees, watched them sign policies about data retention and privacy. Now that policy would work in my favor. I found them buried in the archive folder. Emails between Aaron and Vanessa, forwarded to my company address by mistake back in February. Probably meant for his personal email but autocorrected to mine. I'd glanced at them briefly, thought nothing of it then. They'd been discussing the Morrison project. But reading them now, with new understanding, the tone was different. Too familiar. Too intimate. Can't wait to see you tonight, from Vanessa. The guest room renovation is almost done, from Aaron. She'll never notice how perfect this is, from Vanessa again. My heart raced as I kept reading. References to transition leadership and phase Lauren out professionally while we handle things personally. They'd been planning this for months. Every piece of evidence saved itself to a hidden folder on my laptop. Timestamps, message content, proof that this wasn't sudden. This was calculated. I forwarded everything to Helen, then to my personal email. Triple backup. I wasn't taking chances. 2 weeks after I'd moved out, Vanessa posted a photo that made my blood boil. My home office. The desk Aaron and I had built together from reclaimed wood. My bulletin board still covered with my client notes and inspiration photos. Vanessa sat in my chair, laptop open, coffee mug in hand. The caption read, "His future, not his past." Comments exploded beneath it. Friends congratulating her. Strangers calling her an inspiration. A few brave souls asking uncomfortable questions about whose office she was occupying. Vanessa replied to those with heart emojis and vague statements about necessary changes. I stared at that photo for 10 minutes. Then I closed the app, put down my phone, and smiled. Let her think she'd won. Let her post photos and celebrate publicly. Every piece of evidence she created was another nail in her own coffin. She was young, arrogant, convinced her beauty and ambition made her untouchable. She didn't understand documentation. Didn't realize that social media posts could be archived, screenshot, presented in court as evidence of intent. Helen had explained it perfectly. Let her incriminate herself. The more she flaunts, the easier our case becomes. So I sent no reply. Made no comment. Just saved the post, added it to my growing folder, and went back to building my strategy. Patience. That's what this required. Not rage. Not revenge. Just careful, methodical patience. The email arrived on a Thursday morning. No sender name, just a generic Gmail address. Subject line read, "You should know this." I almost deleted it as spam. Then I opened it. Lauren, I don't know if you remember me. I worked with Aaron on the Cascade Tower project last year. I'm reaching out anonymously because what I'm about to tell you could cost me my career. Aaron's new assistant, Vanessa Clark, leaked confidential design plans to Preston Development, our competitor. I have proof, but I can't come forward without jeopardizing my position. The leak happened 3 weeks ago. Preston submitted a nearly identical proposal to our client, and we lost the contract. The firm hasn't connected the dots yet, but I recognized Vanessa's digital signature on the forwarded files. I'm sending this because you deserve to know what kind of person your husband is trusting. Good luck. Attached were screenshots. Emails from Vanessa's work addressed to someone at Preston Development. Architectural plans clearly marked as Aaron's firm's property. Timestamps showing exactly when the leak occurred. My hands shook as I forwarded everything to Helen. This wasn't just personal betrayal anymore. This was corporate espionage. Vanessa's ambition had made her reckless, and now I had proof that could destroy both their careers. Helen called within an hour. This changes everything. I spent that evening digging deeper. Logged into our joint bank account, something I hadn't checked in weeks. Aaron handled most finances, and I'd trusted him. Stupid. The account showed regular transfers. Large amounts moving from our joint savings to something labeled Pierce Consulting LLC. I'd never heard of Pierce Consulting. I searched the business registry. It was registered 4 months ago. Owner, Vanessa Clark. My breath caught. Aaron had been transferring our money I'd helped earn, into an account controlled by Vanessa. Thousands of dollars. Maybe tens of thousands. I took screenshots of everything. Transaction dates, amounts, account numbers. Then I called Helen again. He's been moving our money into Vanessa's business account. Helen's voice was sharp. How much? At least 50,000. Maybe more if I dig further. Don't dig further. Not yet. We don't want to alert him that you're investigating. But this is financial misconduct. Combined with the leaked designs, we're building a fraud case. I hung up feeling something dangerous. Not just anger anymore. Not just hurt. This was cold, calculated fury. Aaron and Vanessa thought they were building a future together. They were actually building their own prison. And I was documenting every brick. The next morning, I contacted the client Vanessa had leaked designs to. Preston Development's CEO was a woman named Barbara Winters, someone I'd met at industry events. I requested a private meeting, claimed I had information about their recent Cascade Tower proposal. Barbara agreed to meet that afternoon. Her office was downtown, modern and efficient. She greeted me coolly, probably wondering why Aaron Pierce's wife wanted to discuss business. I didn't waste time. Your Cascade Tower proposal. The designs you submitted. Where did they come from? Barbara's expression closed. I'm not sure what you mean. I pulled out my laptop, opened the screenshots. These are emails from Vanessa Clark, my husband's assistant, sending your company proprietary designs. Designs that belong to my husband's firm. She signed the transfer documents using his company credentials. Barbara's face went pale. She leaned forward, studying the evidence. This can't be real. It is. And if you move forward with that proposal, your company will be liable for corporate espionage. Aaron's firm hasn't discovered the leak yet, but they will. And when they do, everyone involved will face legal consequences. Barbara sat back, processing. What do you want? I want you to voluntarily disclose this to Aaron's firm. Before they discover it themselves. It'll look better for your company if you come forward. She nodded slowly. I'll speak with our legal team today. I left feeling satisfied. Vanessa's ambition had just become her downfall. 3 days later, Aaron's firm received a formal letter from Preston Development. They disclosed the leaked designs, returned all materials, and withdrew from the Cascade Tower project. They also identified Vanessa Clark as the source. I heard about it from Taylor, who heard it from someone in Aaron's office. Apparently, the firm's CEO called an emergency meeting. Security went through Vanessa's computer, found evidence of multiple leaks, not just one. She'd been selling information to competitors for months, padding her own bank account. Aaron, as her direct supervisor, came under investigation too. Had he known? Had he benefited? The firm put both of them on administrative leave pending a full audit. Vanessa panicked. According to Taylor, she showed up at the office crying, claiming she'd been set up, that someone was framing her. No one believed her. The evidence was overwhelming. That evening, Aaron called me. First time we'd spoken in weeks. "Lauren, did you do this?" His voice was strained, almost desperate. "Did I do what?" I asked calmly. "Did you report Vanessa to Preston? To our firm?" I paused, let him suffer in the silence. I just provided information to people who deserved to know the truth. What they did with it wasn't my concern. He was quiet. "Then, we need to meet. Tomorrow. There's something I need to tell you." I agreed, keeping my voice neutral. But inside, I was smiling. We met at a coffee shop near Pike Place Market. Neutral territory. Aaron looked terrible. Unshaved, rumpled suit, eyes red from lack of sleep. He sat across from me, ordered nothing, just stared at his hands. "I messed up," he said finally. I sipped my coffee, said nothing. "Vanessa, she wasn't who I thought she was. She convinced me that you and I were growing apart, that we needed space. She offered to help manage things while we figured it out." He looked up, met my eyes. I believed her. God, I was so stupid. "What changed your mind?" I kept my voice level, curious. Aaron swallowed hard. "She asked me to transfer more money to her consulting account. Said it was for tax purposes, that we could protect assets before the divorce. I finally asked to see the business records." He laughed bitterly. There was no consulting business. Just an empty account she'd been draining. She wasn't helping me. She was robbing us both. I let that sink in. Watched him realize the scope of his mistake. "She planned to leave," he continued. "Once she had enough money, once she'd destroyed my career and reputation, she was going to disappear. Move to California, start over with my money." He reached across the table. I pulled my hands away. "Lauren, I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But you were right. About everything." Aaron explained how Vanessa had manipulated him. Showed up at his office late, offered to help with projects, slowly convinced him that I was neglecting our marriage. "She showed me your social media," Aaron said. "All those event photos, you looking happy with clients and coworkers. She said you'd moved on emotionally, that you didn't need me anymore." I thought about those photos. My professional life, the one I'd built while trying to be a good wife. Vanessa had weaponized my success against me. She pushed me to transfer the money. Said if we were getting divorced anyway, we should protect assets. I didn't realize I was protecting them for her, not us. Aaron's voice cracked. "The Pierce Consulting account. I thought it was ours. Jointly controlled. I signed the papers without reading them carefully. She forged your signature on the business registration." My stomach dropped. "She forged my signature?" "The investigators found it yesterday. Your signature on the LLC formation documents doesn't match your actual handwriting. It's fraud." This was bigger than I'd thought. Not just betrayal. Not just theft. Actual criminal fraud. I sat back, processing. Aaron watched me, probably hoping for sympathy. I gave him nothing. Just listened, documented mentally, stayed cold. Finally, I spoke. "What do you want from me, Aaron?" He looked broken. "I want to make this right." 2 weeks later, Aaron's firm hosted a client appreciation dinner. Black tie event at a downtown hotel, all their major clients invited. I attended as Aaron's guest, a fact that surprised everyone. Vanessa had expected to be banned from the event. Instead, Aaron arranged for her to be there too. Said the firm wanted her present for closure. I didn't understand his plan until that night. The ballroom was elegant. String quartet, champagne, networking conversations. I wore the black dress I'd thought I'd lost, the one Vanessa had taken. Found it returned to my hotel room with an apology note from Aaron. Vanessa arrived late, wearing red, looking defiant. She spotted me with Aaron and her mask slipped briefly. Confusion, anger, fear. The CFO called everyone to attention. Before dinner, we have an important announcement. The room quieted. As many of you know, our firm recently experienced a security breach. Proprietary designs were leaked to competitors. He paused. Tonight, we're addressing this publicly. Vanessa Clark, employed as an assistant in our architecture division, has been formally charged with corporate espionage, fraud, and theft. Gasps echoed through the ballroom. All eyes turned to Vanessa. Her face went from red to white. Additionally, the CFO continued, we've discovered she engaged in identity theft, forging signatures to establish fraudulent business accounts. Vanessa tried to speak. Her voice came out shaky. This is a setup. But no one was listening. Security appeared at the ballroom entrance. Not hotel security. Actual police officers. They walked directly to Vanessa, who backed away until she hit a table. Vanessa Clark, the lead officer asked. She nodded, speechless. You're under arrest for wire fraud, identity theft, and corporate espionage. They read her rights as the entire ballroom watched in silence. Vanessa's eyes found mine across the room. For one moment, we locked gazes. I saw everything there. The realization that she'd been caught. The understanding that her plan had failed. The desperate need to blame someone. You set me up, she screamed, voice breaking. Lauren, you did this. You ruined everything. People stared at me. I remained perfectly still, face neutral. The officers cuffed her hands behind her back. Aaron stepped forward, voice calm. You did that yourself, Vanessa. Every forged signature, every leaked file, every stolen dollar. You made those choices. She struggled against the officers, still screaming accusations. But they led her away, through the ballroom, past shocked clients and coworkers, out into the hotel lobby where cameras flashed. The ballroom erupted in whispered conversations. Aaron turned to me, started to speak. I held up one hand. Not here. We left the event together, but separately. Different cars, different destinations. His redemption story wasn't my story. Mine was just beginning. The divorce hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks after Vanessa's arrest. Helen had prepared everything meticulously. Bank statements showing the fraudulent transfers. Emails proving Vanessa's manipulation. Social media posts documenting her intentions. The forged signature on the Pierce Consulting LLC registration. Aaron didn't contest anything. His lawyer submitted a settlement agreement before the hearing even started. He was giving me everything. The house. Full share of assets. His acknowledgement in writing that the separation had been based on fraudulent information. The judge reviewed our documents in chambers. When she returned, her expression was thoughtful. This is one of the more unusual cases I've seen. Mrs. Pierce, you've presented clear evidence of fraud and manipulation affecting your marriage. I nodded. Helen had coached me to stay quiet, let the evidence speak. Mr. Pierce, you're voluntarily surrendering most marital assets. Do you understand this? Aaron stood. Yes, Your Honor. My wife deserves compensation for what I put her through. This is the only way I can begin to make amends. The judge approved the settlement. Just like that, I owned the house, my retirement accounts were protected, and Aaron walked away with far less than he'd planned. Helen leaned over as we gathered papers. You won everything. But it didn't feel like winning. It felt like surviving. Like crawling out of wreckage and discovering I was somehow still intact. Vanessa's apartment was a studio downtown, the kind of trendy place young professionals rent when they're climbing the ladder. I heard through Taylor that she'd been evicted. Couldn't make rent while facing criminal charges. Her social media accounts went dark. The posts celebrating her future, claiming she'd finally gotten what she deserved, all deleted. Her friends disappeared too. The same people who'd commented hearts and congratulations suddenly unfollowed, distanced themselves, pretended they'd never supported her scheme. She texted me once, from a number I didn't recognize. I just wanted what you had. 3 words. An entire confession. I stared at that message for a long time. Part of me wanted to respond, to explain that what I'd had wasn't something you could steal. My marriage, my career, my life, they'd been built through work and trust and years of showing up. Vanessa had seen only the surface. The nice house, the successful husband, the thriving career. She'd never understood the foundation underneath. I didn't reply. Just saved the message as evidence, added it to the folder Helen kept, and deleted the text. Vanessa was facing criminal charges. My response wouldn't change anything. Besides, she'd already received my answer. In the courtroom. In the arrest. In watching everything she'd tried to steal slip through her fingers. Aaron came to the house, now legally mine, to collect his remaining belongings. I'd packed them carefully. Clothes, books, personal items. Left them in the garage in labeled boxes. He stood at the door, looking smaller somehow. Less confident. Can I come in? I considered refusing. But we'd been married 7 years. He deserved a proper goodbye, even if he didn't deserve forgiveness. We sat in the living room, the one where Vanessa had posed for social media photos. It felt reclaimed now. Mine again. I know you won't believe this, Aaron started, but I never wanted to hurt you. Vanessa made everything seem so reasonable. Like we were just drifting apart naturally. I let him talk. Heard how she'd shown up at his office after I'd left for evening events. How she'd listened when he complained about feeling lonely. How she'd gradually convinced him that I'd checked out of the marriage. She was smart, Aaron admitted. She knew exactly what to say to make me doubt everything. And I let her because it was easier than admitting I was the one who'd stopped trying. He looked at me with red eyes. Can you ever forgive me? I thought about that. About forgiveness and what it meant. I already forgave you, I said finally. That's why I'm free. He frowned, confused. What do you mean? Forgiveness isn't about you. It's about me letting go. Moving forward. I stood, walked to the door. You're forgiven, Aaron. But we're done. I handed him the final divorce papers, already signed by both of us, notarized and legal. He took them, nodded once, and left. I watched his car disappear down the street. Then I closed the door, locked it, and breathed deeply. It was over. Finally, completely over. 3 months after the divorce, I opened my own event planning firm. Pierce Collective. My maiden name, clean and professional. The office was small but elegant. Exposed brick, large windows, a conference table where I could meet clients without corporate oversight. I hired 2 people initially. Both women I'd worked with at my old company. Both talented professionals who'd been overlooked for promotions because they weren't loud enough, aggressive enough, male enough. We're building something different here, I told them on their first day. A company that values actual work over performance. Quiet competence over loud arrogance. They understood immediately. Word spread quickly in Seattle's event planning community. The woman who'd survived betrayal and fought back through legal channels. Clients reached out, curious at first, then impressed by my portfolio. Within 2 months, we'd booked 6 major events. Within 4, we had a waiting list. Aaron's firm struggled in comparison. The Vanessa scandal had damaged their reputation. Clients questioned their judgment, their security, their integrity. They lost 3 major accounts. I heard through industry contacts that they were considering bankruptcy. I felt nothing about that. Not satisfaction. Not pity. Just indifference. Aaron's fate wasn't my concern anymore. My concern was building something that couldn't be stolen or destroyed by someone else's betrayal. Something that was mine. Completely, legally, permanently mine. The grand opening of Pierce Collective was everything I'd hoped for. String lights, catered appetizers, industry professionals mingling and celebrating. I'd invited everyone who'd supported me. Taylor, Helen, clients who'd trusted me during the transition. Aaron came too. I saw him at the back of the room, quiet and alone. He'd asked permission to attend, sent a formal email requesting an invitation. I'd said yes. Not because I'd forgiven him completely. Not because we'd be friends. But because his presence, diminished and humbled, was proof of how far I'd come. The crowd quieted as I stepped to the microphone. Thank you all for being here tonight. Pierce Collective represents something I learned the hard way. That losing everything means you finally get to own yourself. Applause filled the room. I raised my champagne glass. To new beginnings. Real ones this time. People toasted, laughed, celebrated. I caught Aaron's eye across the room. He nodded once, a gesture of respect or acknowledgement or goodbye. I returned the nod. Then I turned back to my team, my clients, my future. The room glowed with possibility. Outside, Seattle sparkled under clear skies. Everything felt different now. Lighter. Like I'd been carrying weight I hadn't noticed until I finally set it down. This was my story. Not the one Aaron and Vanessa had tried to write. The real one. Where I survived, rebuilt, and created something better from the ashes of betrayal. I took another sip of champagne, smiled at a client's joke, and felt genuinely happy. Not despite what happened. But because I'd proven I could survive it. That was worth celebrating. That was worth everything.